Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of live coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of live coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. What's up, Unbroken Nation? Hey, my friends, I wanted to take a few minutes and give you a little bit of an update about a few things that are happening in the show, that are happening in my life, and that are next in the podcast. Part of today's conversation is going to be taking down the wall a little bit between us. And so I'm going to give you some insider information about where I'm at with things and also with the future of the podcast. And there's some changes happening, some pretty major changes. First and foremost, and probably most predominantly, I just want to say thank you for listening to this show, for helping me move forward in my mission of giving people the tools to end generational trauma and to really truly become the hero of their own story. I tell people all the time, if you listened to this podcast and followed through, there's a very high likelihood your life will be different. And for some of you, I know it is, especially I get in there, I see the reviews that you leave, I get the comments that you send me on social media, and it means the world to me. It truly does. One of the things that I thought about when I first started this show was, how do I just create something that will help people? And even as some of you know, like, I mean my mission when I say it, like, about helping people, so much so that you can literally coach with me for free at any time. Like, I will take a call with anyone, anytime in the world, if it helps move us forward as a society and as people in our healing journey. And this podcast felt to me like a way to do that at scale, because I cannot, as much as I want to, like, I cannot talk to 8 billion people, but I can share this content with them. When I sat down to record episode 1 of this, it was in late 2018, so 5 years ago almost. And I recorded a couple of episodes, and I even had recorded with a couple of people in person, and I just never did anything with it. I don't know why exactly, probably just I was in transition at the time. I was getting ready to go travel the world for a while. I was coaching people and writing the blog, and I hadn't really gotten my head wrapped around what the future of all this was going to look like. So I had these episodes recorded and just sitting on a thumb drive somewhere. In 2021, excuse me, I'm sorry, in 2019, I'm off by a couple years. 2019, April-ish, we launched episode 1 of Think Unbroken podcast. At the time, it was called Michael Unbroken podcast. And when I launched Michael Unbroken podcast, it was kind of at the beginning, me sharing my story, me telling a bit about the tools I had learned. And it took a while before we had our first guest, just because I didn't know that that was the direction that I wanted to go. And so I interviewed some friends and we published. And in the beginning, and I've shared this before, like I really truly like the first month, I think there were 19 downloads and literally like 12 of those were me just like poking around and playing with it and trying to figure it out. And when I look at what we've been able to accomplish now, all of it's because of you guys, because of you, because you listen, because you consume, because you are here with me in the day to day of this show. And I literally could not do this without you. And now we have passed well over 1 million downloads. We are in the top 0.05% of all shows on planet Earth. And I've had the fortune of interviewing incredible humans. More importantly, though, it's been the messages, the DMs, the reviews, and the emails from you guys that I get the most out of. And it reminds me how worth it is to do this. There is a massive undertaking in creating not only this much content, but creating a podcast at this size with some of the people that we've had on it. And I could not do this alone. And thankfully, I have an amazing team around me who help with Think Unbroken podcast because it's impossible. I could never create this on my own, especially with everything I do with coaching and writing and all the other elements of my business and my day-to-day life. But we do it for you. We do it for you and we do it for your family and for the generations of people beyond you and moving towards the goal of ending generational trauma. Now, the only way that we do that is we continue to create good content. We continue to have amazing interviews and we continue to change and adapt. A lot of this, just to be straight up, is survivability. Historically, I've funded the show out of my own pocket. It's not been something I've ever made money on. And to be frank, in the beginning, especially the first year or two, I lost a lot of money. And the mission isn't money. I was able to sustain because of, coaching and other ventures. But I would be remiss to say that it has not been easy financially to make this thing work. And so I'm going to talk to you about some of the changes that we're going to make so that we can continue to deliver the best content to you guys. Before I do that, a couple of notes. We are actually going to take a small break, about 2 weeks, call it a spring break. And the reason that we're going to do that is one, personally, I'm exhausted. I've recorded hundreds and hundreds of shows nonstop. As you know, a couple of years ago, we did 365 straight shows. And then we kind of toned it down to 5 a week. And even that's still a lot. And I've hit a wall where I just need a little bit of a reset. No recording, no publishing. We're just going to take a small break. And that's a small break just also so my team can catch up as well. So they can rest, so they can take a break, have a vacation, spend time with family, go enjoy the things. When we come back, there are some things that are going to be a little bit different about the podcast. One, and probably the most predominant difference you're going to notice is the frequency in which we're releasing shows. We are going to go to 3 episodes a week. We are going to do Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So Tuesdays and Thursdays will be guest episodes. Generally speaking, we will probably do one brand new unaired episode and then one legacy episode from our vaults. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because it dawned on me recently, like, if you haven't been listening to this podcast for almost 5 years every single day, there's no way you've heard all the content that we've created. And so I wanna be able to honor many of our new guests and as well as honor many of our old guests. And so that's kind of the flow you're going to see. You probably picked up a little bit over the last month that we've been doing that, especially over the last week or so, sharing some of these amazing legacy episodes. And then on Fridays are going to be solo episodes with me, a little bit of coaching, a little bit of update. I've had a lot of you ask to know a little bit more about the inner workings of my life, my day to day, how I manage the trauma, how I handle being triggered, how I just handle the flow of running multiple companies and being a friend and a brother and a leader and dating and relationships and the whole nine. So we're going to get into a lot of that, and we're going to start creating just this little bit of a difference in content where I want to do more coaching, right, in the podcast, more direct. So we'll get into that a little bit more. I'm working out the fine tuning of what that's going to look like. One of the things that we're going to do moving forward, starting when we come back from this little break, is you're going to start hearing ads in the show. And the reason you're going to start hearing ads in the show is because with ad sponsorship, we're going to be able to continue to grow this show, as well as to do things like pay for some phenomenal guest appearances. People don't understand the inner workings of a podcast. And what I can tell you is I have paid for guests to be on this show a lot of money. And we have had people sponsor themselves to be on the show and creating content for them and things of that nature. But ultimately, looking at the opportunity that's in front of us, I want to be able to grow the show. I want to make this, here's the goal. I'll tie you into the goal. I want to have the #1 mental health podcast in the world. And we've been fortunate to be #1 in multiple countries, but we've only ever been as high as like number 38 in the United States. And most podcasts are consumed in the United States. So if we can bring in ad revenue from inserted ads, where you'll hear ads for, BetterHelp and avocado mattresses and things like that, right? We'll also do host read ads where you'll hear me reading ads in the show. And the reason why is because you as listeners and consumers, when you hear these ads, we get paid for them. And if we get paid for them, I can use that money, because my goal is not to make money on this podcast in a way that, helps me sustain my lifestyle or things like that. It's to grow the podcast. And so what happens is when we do these host read ads, when we have these inserted ads, and you guys listen to them and you don't skip them, what happens is these advertisers will pay us. And I'm going to be very strict about the advertising. You're not going to hear gambling or beer or alcohol or drugs or politics or prescription ads. Not going to do that, right? So just keep in mind, I'm putting a lot of thought into what ads will be presented to you guys. We'll be right back to the show. But before we do, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, FactorMills.com, where if you go to factormills.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50, you can get 50% off your first order. That's factormills.com/unbroken50. If you're like me and you are a person who is busy trying to create a life, heal, work on their health, wealth, and relationships, and not to mention deal with the day-to-days of normal life, you do not have time to be going to the grocery store and trying to figure out what you're going to cook every single day of the week. In fact, one time I did the math and I realized I was spending over 15 hours a week at the grocery store and cooking. When I added Factor, I got to use that time for myself, for my family, for my friends, for my community, and for my business. And so if you're in the place where you need some more support in the kitchen, head to factormills.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50 to get 50% off. And then with that money, I'm going to use it to grow this audience bigger, to pay for ads, which are very expensive, to pay for guests, some of which there are some top tier guests where they won't come on this show for less than $2,500, right? And so because I want to create that value for you guys, I need to be able to find a way to sustain it. So that's one of the changes that you're going to see is you will start hearing ads. Okay. And I know it's not the best thing in the world. Trust me, I get it. But the value on the other side of these ads will help us spread this message so much more wide and so much more deep to point where I'm like, can we get to 1 million downloads a month? Right? Like having 1 million downloads plus over the course of the last few years is a beautiful thing. I'm so proud of what we've been able to do. But in order to really start impacting at scale, we've got to be doing that a month. And if we can really scale, like, could you imagine if we could do that every single day, right? Because of these stories, because of the journeys, because of the amazing people who are coming on. Also, we are going to create a subscription-based archive for the show. We have over 600 episodes of Think Unbroken podcast. And so I'm going to create a very small subscription base for that, where it will literally just be a couple of dollars a month, affordable for everyone. And when you join that, you're going to get access not only to an archive of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of podcast episodes, but you're also going to get access to the Think Unbroken podcast community that we are building. And you're also going to get access to a bunch of other amazing bonuses, including free trainings, copies of my book, and for some people, coaching sessions with me that are more in depth. And so we're working out the details on that, but you'll hear me talk about that during the show. And when I say affordable for everyone, guys, I'm talking about like $5, like literally $5. And then you also help us support the show. So not a Patreon type situation, but really just a support mechanism. And if you find value in the show, that's your way of supporting and saying, hey, thank you. And we'll get into more of that, but I want you to know that that's coming. So you'll see as you're listening to the podcast, if you want to get into the archives and you want shows with amazing people like Oprah's coach Tim Story and Anna Lamke and Caroline Leaf and the list goes on, the space for that's going to be in the archive. And again, we're going to make it incredibly, incredibly affordable because I don't want people to feel like that they can't spend $5. And look, and I'll tell you this also, like straight up, no joke. If you literally cannot spend $5, if you are, and I've been here, guys, you know this, I've been 50 grand in debt. I've been so poor. I had to borrow money to go to therapy. If you are in that position, we will find a way to take care of you. I promise you this. So don't feel like you can't get access to this because you're in a financial place right now. That doesn't matter to me. This isn't about making money. It's about helping people, but we also need to help a lot of people and make a lot of money, right? That's the only way we're going to the next level. And then I think the last piece that I will leave you with is like, as we go deeper into the show, you're going to notice some changes in the way that we're having conversations. And what I mean by that is I really want to get more into the nuance of who our guests are and explore them. I think about this a lot. Over 4 years, almost 5 years, over 600 episodes, we have covered almost everything I can imagine about this journey, about the tools, about the steps, about the processes, about the do these 9 things. And those things are incredible and they're super, super helpful. But what I will tell you is we've already talked about them. And to be blunt, because that's how I am, and you guys know honesty is my number one value, I have found myself in a position where I do not want to have those conversations anymore. And the reason why is because it's all there. What the conversations that I want to have moving forward, which I actually, I was thinking about this a lot. I think that they're going to be more beneficial in the style of, let's actually talk about the chaos of life. Let's talk about those down moments. Let's talk about how we rose. Let's talk about your story and your journey. I think that will help us relate more. One of my favorite podcasts is when I listen to it, I just feel like people understand me. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of this podcast, not that we don't do that, not that that hasn't existed, but I feel like so much of the podcast hasn't been about the human narrative. We've covered all the how to. We've covered all the breakdown of do this to change your life. I mean, we've done that at scale and at mass. And now I want to go deeper into creating human stories and talking about the journey and the hardships and what it's really like. And I think for me, part of that also has come from realizing that it's going to be beneficial for me as well to talk about those rock bottom moments of my life and in the journey and how I deal with anxiety and depression and being triggered and in those moments when I have suicidal ideations and those times where things don't work out and I feel like my back's against the wall and the business isn't working and I'm losing relationships and I made huge mistakes and I broke down. Like I want to share that stuff with you guys. And I want to share that through our guests as well. So that's kind of one of the things that you can see will begin to change too. We'll still have the conversations of this is the how, right? Because there are some episodes in that archive where I'm like, man, oh my God, if you just listened to what this person just said, your life would be so different. You know what I mean? There's so many people that come to mind in that. And so what you'll see in the podcast also in terms of the frequency is because of the adjustment in the number and the quantity of episodes, this will give you more time to digest. I've had a lot of feedback over the last couple of years where people are like, this moves really fast. Some people consume it every single day. And actually, a lot of people have just said, there's a lot. I don't know where to begin. And so I'm going to kind of create a new pathway for us to have some direction, some deeper direction, some more meaningful direction, because my mission is very simple. I really want to make this the greatest podcast on planet Earth for mental health. So many of us are impacted by trauma and abuse, and so many of us are in this place where we just want to be seen and heard. I want to build the community around the podcast. I want to help people as much as I can. And ultimately, at the end of the day, these changes, they're subtle, right? I don't think anything here is out of the blue. I don't think anything here is like completely unearthing everything we've done for almost 5 years. I just think it's the right decisions to make at this time to progress us forward. And progress is everything. Momentum is everything. And more importantly, keeping alignment. So I'm going to end this for today. Know that we're going to be on a little bit of a break. So you'll see the next episode pop up here in about a week to 10 days, somewhere in that window. So just keep in mind, my friends, if you need help, if you need support, we're here. This podcast is here. The Think Unbroken community is here. You're going to hear me talk about a lot of community efforts and things as we go forward. And I'm always available for you. So if you ever need help, you can schedule a free coaching call with me literally at any time if you just go to thinkunbroken.com. And you can also, if you want or if you need, you can DM me at any time at Michael Unbroken. So my hope is that we're going to be able to continue to connect, continue to grow, build this community, and ultimately take care of you guys in a way that helps us. My mentor, David Meltzer, if you know David, one of the things that he talks about is in this journey of life, the most important question that you can ask is, who can I help and who can help me? So my mission is that we help each other as all of us collectively go to the next level. And with that said, my friends, have an amazing day. We'll see you in about a week. And until then, be unbroken. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of live coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program.